We're joined with Galiano Tiramani, who is an amazing entrepreneur. I've invested in him personally. Really cool idea. Boxabl, you'll hear more about it, and also how the industry is going to shape out. And Galiano is an interesting case study right now because he's solving one of the hardest challenges in real estate, which is how you get buildings built. Great. So firstly, wait, where are you at now? How much have you raised so far?
We are at 1.7 million. So the unaccredited portion is maxed out, and now it's just accredited and international only, and that just continues to trickle in every day. And then on a side note, I have a bunch of kind of ongoing negotiations with several different bigger investment companies, like some VCs and some other value add guys. So it's possible one of them will jump in, finish it out, and then we'll close down the WeFunder and close on whatever's in there now. But what I've learned from this CF raise is that the potential for us to do like a kind of a public offering with the Reg A Plus seems like a huge opportunity where we can bring in money at a much lower cost to us, and also, basically spend ad budget on putting the word out there, bringing the investment in. That will also in turn just increase general knowledge about what we're doing, and then we'll have a bunch of people cheerleading for us on the side as well, as far as investors. So it all just seems like really great, and like everything's kind of coming together.
Fabulous, cool. Okay, let's dive into it. So let's talk about how you got here. How did you actually get started? It started with your dad, right?
Yeah, exactly. So my father, Paolo, has had an intellectual property licensing business for the past 30 plus years, where he basically would invent stuff, patent it, and then license the patents. So the actual folding house idea started there in his kind of invention shop, and it was just shelved as an idea that he liked and didn't want to license. And then many years later, I was living up in Northern California at the time, and I just kind of brought it up one day, and I was like, what about that folding house? Let's look at that. And then we started getting to work on it again and developing it. And, the pieces just started falling into place. The product got better and better. What started with just folding house only changed into every other, innovation that we figured out. And now we've solved a massive amount of problems throughout the whole process, all the way from manufacturing to delivery.
So this is one of those situations where you have a solution in search of a problem. I don't know if you disagree with me or not. Often with entrepreneurs, they come up with a problem and then they try to find a solution around it. In your case, you realize, well, there's a pretty good solution. Now we'll just find a problem and make it even better. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, we knew that factory-built housing kind of sucked. It's failed to gain market share. The shipping solution is a non-starter because they're trying to ship around these cumbersome wide loads. They'll never scale. They'll never get them far away from their factory. And really, it kind of represents an insanely large potential and market. And that is to bring building construction into the factory, because all our other modern products are built in the factory, and that's why they're low cost and high quality and available. But it just has not translated to housing. I think modular share of total building construction in the US is about 3%. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why it's not working for them. And we've kind of, gone through each one and figured them out. So we think this
problems that you identified, why has it not taken off? Surely this is such an obvious opportunity and the market share should be growing rapidly. It just hasn't scaled the way you'd expect. But of course, I don't think you can write it off. Something needs to change. You need to unlock some value. What is it you figured out with the approach?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the first thing there is the shipping. None of these guys can ship. They're either shipping a wide load, which is very expensive, or they're shipping an 8.5 foot room, which is a very limited market because not a lot of people want an 8.5 foot room, or they're shipping an 8.5 room with open wall on it. So then you have to stitch those together on site, and it becomes very expensive. And then the other thing is, even the newest startups that like the big VC funded startups for housing, they're just kind of doing stuff the same way as it was done in the field. So they're mostly using lumber, stick frame construction. They're banging nails into wood, and that's it. And we thought, that's not the way to do it in the factory. It works in the field, but if you're in the factory, there's more things you can take advantage of to build it differently. And I don't think lumber and nails will ever be compatible with the level of automation and factory production that you see with automobiles. So we re-engineered the whole building shell and all the materials that are used to make them compatible with that.
So why do you think it's done this way with just lumber and nails necessarily? Do you think people misled investors, sort of created a lot of hype, took venture dollars, but just continued to do the same old, same old? Is there something there? Is there a there?
We could examine the different new innovative housing startups and their various solutions that they have. I just don't love them, and I see there's still a lot of problems there. And I think our model, if we're able to execute on it properly, is going to solve all these problems. And the most important thing we've done is we've dramatically simplified the way the building's manufactured. We've picked all new building materials in something where we think this is the production and the manufacturing is going to be so rapid that it's going to be a total game changer, because then we're going to be able to scale. We're going to be able to knock the cost down. We're going to be able to buy in bulk, and we're also kind of standardizing things too, which is another problem with factory construction. A lot of them are doing kind of custom work inside the warehouse versus doing a standardized product. So our solution is we manufacture standardized room modules, but then they can stack and connect in any way in the field. So then you get kind of like endless combinations, but in the factory, we're not stuck doing custom stuff, which is where you lose your efficiency. We're just in there doing repeatable manufacturing.
Right, because some people would say that no two houses are the same. Everything's so unique, and you sort of don't buy that. You believe it should be standardized to the extremes.
Well, you definitely need custom buildings, because there's all different use cases and everything like that. So we've created a method where we're going to get the best of both worlds. We're going to have standardized production, but we're also going to have custom buildings. So what we want to have is we want to get the bulk of the work done in the factory for the builder. We want to provide them with an architecturally neutral building block that they then stack, connect, dress up, make it look pretty, and then boom, that's a custom building. But a lot of the stuff inside will be kind of the same. Like maybe we'll end up where we have five kitchen units, 5 bedroom units, 5 living room units, 5 bathroom units, and then through all those combinations, you stack them, you connect them. You can also just kind of cut holes in the walls of our units because of the way they're made, so they're customizable in that fashion. But we don't need everything to be fully customizable. If you go out and buy a new car, you can customize it a little bit with options, but you can't say, I want the bumper to be 3 inches over to the right, and that's the difference here is we do have a level of custom building within our system, but just enough so we can still take advantage of that mass production.
Yeah, was it Ford who said you can have any car as long as it's black? So yep. How do you prioritize what you want to control and not allow customization around versus, giving a whole suite of options to the consumer, to the customer?
To start off, it's kind of like an easy decision for us because we just want to focus on one simple thing and not bog ourselves down with a whole bunch of custom stuff that's gonna kill us early on. So we are fortunate enough to have so much interest in this product that we could sell this one unit, I think, endlessly for the next few years. I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with demand on it, and I don't think we're going to have to customize it at all. Sure, we'll offer some options early on, but right now we have over 10,000 people that have requested to buy one, and over 2,000 of those 10 have actually paid us a deposit. So they're that serious, and that's only been going on for several months now. I think before we actually ever have a big factory online, that list is going to be double or even more because they're just rolling in every day. The product, people are more interested in this product than we ever could have imagined and ever expected. And it turns out there's also all these different use cases we never expected. So we're targeting this towards these backyard houses in California, which is a huge growing market, but there's all kind of other stuff too. For example, was talking a couple weeks ago to SpaceX, and they wanted to have 200 units. They told me they wanted them yesterday for their workforce housing. So that's another huge market, workforce housing. Then you have bigger other real estate developments and potentially FEMA, federal government, emergency relief. I mean, this is a perfect unit for emergency relief. We can fit them out so they're solar powered and off the grid, and then we can deploy them, hundreds of them, thousands of them out into a field in the event of emergency to give us temporary shelter. So that's, these are all huge markets.
Yeah. So you guys have done a very good job when it comes to getting demand in and then focusing on the investor side. Many startups try to go out to investors without having the demand. You guys did a phenomenal job with signing up pre-orders. Let's walk through that. How did you firstly decide to go out there and solicit customers and put it out there when you didn't have the funds necessarily to meet that demand? How do you balance that out as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I never expected the interest to be this huge. Basically, we went with our Casita units to the builder show at the beginning of this year, and we said, all right, well, we're at the show, we'll see if we can pre-sell some. And it went really well. And then I thought, all right, this is good. Let's try it on the website. And really, it was just an effort on my part to prove demand to the investors. So that, when I go to people and say, look, we have this cool thing, they're like, all right, well, have you sold any? And if not, does anyone even want to buy them? So now I'm saying, guess what? Thousands and thousands of people want to buy them, and more are rolling in every day. So it's a tricky thing because on one hand, I don't want to take a lot of money from people. That's why it's only a $200 to $1,000 commitment before we're ready to actually provide the product. And I want to keep everyone happy. So we've been trying to make it very clear on the website. We're actually updating the website a little bit, make it very clear to everyone, what stage we're at. We ask them all to read the frequently asked questions before they actually commit to this. But really, people are just so excited. They just want to kind of like help the cause a little bit. So they're just like ready to put in their credit card info, it seems.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot, although very different businesses. The company that I started, Bungle, we didn't have a product yet. What we did have, though, were paying customers. We'll give you X dollars if you build this product. Theoretically speaking, we'll spend $50,000 with you, or we'll spend $200,000 with you on advertising if you can build this product. Very scary as an entrepreneur because it was way too successful. I literally found going into meetings and say, if we philosophically had this product, would you be willing to spend money? They're like, yeah, we want it tomorrow, or not tomorrow, we want it yesterday, right? And I'd like, okay, theoretically speaking, if we could give you 1,000 installs, would you pay us $1? They'd be like, hey, if you gave me 10,000 installs, I'd give you $2 even. I'm like, wow, can I write that down? Have one meeting, walk out with a $20,000, pre-order. Then go to another meeting, and next thing I've got 50,000, 100,000. That's when you realize, all right, there's no question that there is demand, and it changes the investor conversation completely. When you go in and you say, it doesn't matter what you think as an investor. Customers are the only source of truth. They're paying for this product. We need the money to build this product. The biggest risk for an investor, of course, is you've got this great idea, big vision. Now there's a lot of risk in building it and hoping that this is what the consumer wants or the customer wants. So you've nailed it there. Now, the question I'm going to pose to you is, what advice do you have for any entrepreneurs out there, especially in PropTech, who are at the stage where they're thinking, how do I prove demand? How do they think about orchestrating something like you did?
Yeah, I think the kind of the key to our success early on was finding, these lists of people or groups of people where a high percentage of them are likely interested in your stuff. So, the first way we started that obviously was at the builder show, where everyone there is a builder and they get it and they're interested in building. So obviously a lot of them would be interested in this. Then the next thing I did was I went on YouTube, looked up YouTubers who have channels on related stuff. And this nice girl, Christina Smallhorn, put me on her channel originally. And that was what kind of got us started with this social media blitz of going viral that we've had. She has a channel about alternative housing and manufactured housing and tiny homes. And so her audience, of course, loves something like this. And, you know, then it kind of spread and more people who are interested learned about it, and it just spread organically. And before you know it, we had like a TikTok, someone posted a TikTok video, and we have 20 million views on it, and things are just blowing up. So it's been pretty cool. And it's been a real quick learning curve, because actually at first I was focusing on chasing down traditional media, like, you know, the news. But the results were never great. And then I realized social media, how incredibly powerful it is. And it's been like an amazing game changer for this whole process.
And what have you found, any lessons you can share on what's worked on social media? You've got lots of platforms. How have you decided to focus on a single platform, or have you just taken the same message and you found it works across all platforms? Is there a special platform that really sticks here?
Yeah, so the first thing was YouTube. YouTube's great because the attention you're going to get is going to keep coming. So people are going to keep searching keywords and coming to us.
High production value content, and you have, you know, you're a visual thing. It's kind of amazing when you just see how the product unfolds. I think one of the most viewed videos I saw recently was how China built this amazing skyscraper in record time, and you literally time lapse, and it's shared. People cannot believe, you know, there's people who live across a construction site, and it's the worst thing ever, by the way, when you live across a construction site, and there's just delays and delays, and everyone in the neighborhood hates that. And now there's a new way of doing it. Things can be built. So I saw the video, and that was a complete, you know, wow, this is really cool. That's
that one video that you're referencing has been kind of the secret to our success. And it wasn't the first unfolding house video. You know, we had that going a year before, but just that one video, I don't know if the way it was shot or the lighting, but I'm really grateful on that day. I was like, you know what, let me get a video. This is a good angle, because that video has really changed the game for us.
okay. You planned to take the video and make it a, you know, social media thing, or did it just happen by accident?
I mean, I had put out lots of videos before that, and none were as successful. And this one was just the one that everyone.
You didn't necessarily feel, aha, you know, I've got an idea, let's do this angle. You were standing there, and you were at this dangerous point where you could may have just decided, you know what, I'm not going to capture that. But you did do it.
Exactly what happened. Yes, it was just like luck.
Right? Those times when you don't take action, and you may never even have the benefit or the luxury to wonder what would have happened, because it was a non-event, but you just took the camera and did it. I mean, data is like that too, by the way, right? I found capture data, capture everything you can capture, figure out what you can do with it, because if you don't collect it early on, you just don't know, right? There's no point having an opinion. Same way here, not quite data, but you've got your phone, just take videos. Now, after going through that, are you still trying to find the next hit? Are you constantly trying to, you know, build on that? Or do you think, you know, you've exhausted that approach with the user base?
I have some grand plans for more marketing material, and I think this is endless, and I think there's interesting stuff to be had all over the place. And it's cool that you brought up data as well, because that's been another piece of the puzzle. Through the website, we've gotten so much interest. We're getting over 100 emails every day, and so then we're capturing all the data from the people. We're capturing their emails. We're capturing their Facebook pixel, where we can track them online, and we're most importantly capturing this partner with us form, where resources are pouring in. So I'm getting every day people emailing me saying, hey, I want to install these, I want to buy them. Oh, I can help you with financing with a bank. And now we just have this huge spreadsheet of resources that we can tap into whenever we want and go and say, oh, you know what? I need someone to do this. Let's see if there's anyone who's already submitted their info into this massive list. So having all this exposure and stuff is just dumping all these resources into our lap that we can save and use.
Exactly. It's very tempting to just be, and I'm sure you are, but heads down, focus on getting product built. But you have to stay in touch with the consumer. And I suppose you're accountable now because you've taken pre-orders. So you also have to update people, keep them interested.
Yep.
And that's sort of side benefit. That's the pressure to keep thinking about how you market this and how you keep people interested. Otherwise, if you hadn't done that, maybe, you know, you'd be on the other side of where you're sitting now, right? I can see in the background there, you've got, well, what is that? You've got a, is that where something's built?
A couple of houses out there. We can walk out there and I'll show you in a minute.
Yeah, fantastic. You know what? Let's do that.
All right, let's go. So, yeah, this is just our little kind of warehouse building in Las Vegas. It's about 10,000 feet where we're just kind of starting out. We've really done like a lot of research and development here. It's been like kind of like an R&D lab. So here is kind of the side view. These are two packed up units. So, you can see that. So this is one unit here, 8.5 feet wide. This is another unit here, 8.5 feet wide. So this is the shipping dimension. And this is the kind of the secret that no one else has, because without being able to ship a huge building, it's kind of a non-starter, whatever these other guys are doing, we feel like.
Where does this go? It goes inside of a truck, a large truck. How do you get this across the highways of America, shipped across the country?
Basically, it's not over wide, so that means it's compatible with all the different shipping infrastructure. That means a train, a truck, even a pickup truck, or a container ship. We can put 150 of these, I think, on a train and send them across the country. That's the cheapest way. We can put 1,000 of them maybe on a container ship and send them to Hawaii or Puerto Rico for disaster relief or anything like that. So now all of a sudden, this building manufacturing is not limited geographically anymore. I mean, this thing can just really scale, and it's not cumbersome or difficult. Transporting a regular modular, they have restricted routes. They have restricted travel times. They often require police escorts. They almost always require a follow car. So it's just incredibly expensive. And that's why often modular construction is more expensive than the site building. So those two units unfold to this here. And this is that initial Casita product. So basically,
we're inside the home now.
Yes. So basically, couch, bed, kitchen, and then bathroom. So this thing is, ready to go in the factory. That means the kitchen and bathroom in here, we're shipping with that in there, and we're still able to fold it up to 8.5 wide to be highway legal. So, a lot of these other solutions, they're leaving a lot of work in the site. And that's when, the costs explode, and there's delays, and there's weather, and there's theft, and there's high cost employees. And when you're doing stuff one-offs, one at a time, and it's different every time, it's inefficient. But when you have a guy in a factory doing the same thing over and over, that's as efficient as you can get. Our guys are going to be able to close their eyes and know where to grab the next tool. In the field, they're going to be like, where's my hammer for 20 minutes a day, stuff like that. So factory production is the only way to fix the housing problem. And we're figuring out ways to bring it all into the factory, get all the work done.
For an example, in a marketplace where you're not the first mover, but the first movers are so entrenched now in the way they're doing things, and regulations have been built around them. You, on the other hand, have built your product around the regulations and been able to sort of streamline right through. You've got your eye on the biggest problem, which is the cost and the effort of getting the product delivered, getting the infrastructure in place. And you design your product from the ground up that way, and that's sort of the competitive advantage that you have. And that's why you're going after that. And by unlocking that, you believe, is the reason why the market share is only 3% for the industry versus where it should be at a much, much higher, until eventually this is the way things are done.
Yep. And, these, there are a lot of rules. It's very, very old school. And, there's traditional ways of doing it.
We like that. A lot of PropTech is basically, hammered in red tape and startups trying to disrupt that.
Yep. I mean, a big problem is the government bureaucracy meddling in there, because, the amount of interactions you have to have with the local government building department to build a building is really amazing. I mean, they're coming to the site multiple different times to do inspections throughout the process. So that's, it's slowing everything down and costing incredible amounts of money. That's why, since we're going to be a modular approved product, it makes things a lot easier on that side as well, because then almost all the inspections happen in our factory, not in the field. They're not up to the whim of the local guy. The plans are pre-approved at the state level, and it's just going to really streamline everything. And then once we actually move beyond these little casitas into the full building system, and it's standardized, and lots of building departments have seen it, everything's going to get quicker and easier. Because if you think about the way it is done now, almost every building is a one-off prototype. So like, I'm from Connecticut. If they're building a house there, it's different than every other house in the neighborhood. And, that's not necessarily the most efficient way to do things, where you're building things only at one time. You have to make sure it's safe and check everything, and it's going to be lower quality. So once we start standardizing this stuff, that's going to have a huge impact.
So with the frustration of dealing with the local government and nationally as well, why don't you just focus on a different geography? Is there a reason why you want to work within this environment? I mean, this is a product that's global, has big potential. And this product is arguably needed even more in developing countries and other places where there is a crisis really in how houses are built and produced.
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's not a super difficult process to get going with this. Basically, we have to go through third-party testing, which we've already started, to prove that this is a stronger, better building. And once we do that, it's good to go. This product and this plan is international scale. What I'm trying to do is create a system that can build 90% of building types anywhere in the world. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than this as far as markets and upsides, as far as I can see. But, I'm from the United States. We're going to start it here. We're going to do the first factory here, and then hopefully we're going to bring on partners online all around the world to do their own Boxabl factories and scale it that way.
A franchise model where you are empowering people around the world to sort of take the Boxabl, I don't know what you want to call it, system, and sell it, produce it, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're thinking right now. And that's the result of, the inquiries we've gotten. It's been a lot of different people emailing us from all over the world. Probably second biggest place after US was Middle East. And they're emailing saying, this is a perfect product. We have this X problem in our local housing market. We need this here. Can we build a factory? I can sell thousands of these. I need to build a factory. So now we have this growing list of people that want to have a Boxabl factory all over the world. So my plan is we develop this first factory, we learn all our lessons, make all our mistakes once, and then we have a repeatable plan that we'll then try to go out and share to these other interested parties as like almost a franchise model. And they'll bring in some capital to help that happen, and they'll bring in the local knowledge that you need if you're going to manufacture in another country. And hopefully we can scale this thing really quickly with that method. But it's still early days and remains to be seen how it plays out.
Tell me how it feels, and this is probably something most PropTech entrepreneurs struggle with. VCs don't get the space. You're here, your customers are strangling you, right? People are reaching out to you from the Middle East and telling you, we need this now. And you've proven it with the fact that customers have voted with their wallets. How does it feel that, the very people that are supposed to take risk, the venture capitalists, are not seeing the opportunity that you see? Speak to the other entrepreneurs out there who face this problem.
Yeah, it's really been very interesting, the response I've gotten from different investor types. And the VCs seem to want software. And they will confuse software for tech. Software is tech, but other things that are not software can be tech too. And I understand where they're coming from, because software can scale really fast. That's the model. You blast it out. You build one thing, you blast that thing out to millions of users. Ours is a little bit different. So that franchise model also came about as a result of some pushback I got from VCs saying this is too capital intensive for our fund structure. That's not how we work. So now this plan means that further investment required wouldn't come from them. It would come from these other parties. They would only be funding this initial kind of plant, this initial factory where we're doing R&D and pushing that out to our little other factories. But I think what I'm pitching here is potentially very, very large. And what I've seen from some of the other VC investments in manufactured housing startups, I don't really get those plays either, because none of them really seem, they seem even less scalable than us, especially the ones that can't ship the product. So
probably that might also be that investors haven't established who the leader is yet, and are probably burnt. But that's the best time to make investments, because by the time there's a leader, it's hard for new contenders. Here, at least, it reminds me of the time when we started in the advertising industry. We did things better. We did have a new way of doing things, but all the precedents before us sucked. Investors lost so much money in advertising technology companies. Literally every public company was a flop. I invested in the public markets too when I was the CEO of my company, just to keep a tab on competitors. Literally lost 90% in public stock equities across maybe like 5 to 10 different companies, and these were the main 5 to 10 companies. And guess what happened now? Now we've got companies like Trade Desk that are valued. I don't know what the latest valuation is, but it's one of the best performing stocks I have. It's 3x, higher than it was from the March lows. Billions of dollars in market cap, maybe 10 plus. So, when there is a winner, that winner will take all, and it will suck the oxygen out of the room. I mean, we talked about this when I made the investment in Boxabl, right? You guys are one of those binary opportunities that I love, right? If you're in venture capital, you need to be taking risk. You need to be finding companies that can be a complete zero or 1,000x return, right? And I can say that I generated those types of returns for the investors who invested in my company. But investors like the safety and are not necessarily as true to the model of venture capital, right? Sometimes I'll prefer a safe 3x return and limited upside, but lots of downside protection, which is not how you're supposed to play this. Now, how does it feel as an entrepreneur knowing that what you're working on could go to nothing? You could lose everything. There are so many risks. You've probably had, you've done a good job. You've raised a good amount of funding for where you are. But I'm sure you've had people give you all the reasons why this can't work. How do you feel knowing that you're working on an idea that isn't stable? It's a crazy idea. It will change the world.
It's pretty brutal actually, doing multiple calls with people per day who have all their own reasons to say no to you. So I can understand how that would turn some people off. But frankly, I'm the kind of person that just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing forever. And I feel very confident about this product. As we develop it, it just gets better and better, and it never stops getting better, and it's amazing. And I've executed on a few other businesses in my past successfully, and I've done very, very well. So I'm confident that I'll be able to do that again. But this time when I do it, it's going to be with this monster that we're growing here.
This is the big one.
Definitely is.
What do you see outside of the industry you're in right now in PropTech, the adjacent industries? Any interesting trends and opportunities? Where are you most excited by? If it's not your own company, which industries in PropTech?
There's another cool one that we're working with. They're called permits.com. And what they're trying to do is jump into all these building departments, which I don't know if you've ever built anything before or dealt with a building department, but it's very hard to deal with. It's very bureaucratic. There's fill out this form in triplicate and all that kind of stuff. And what permits.com is trying to do is they're trying to take all that work and charge a customer a little fee and do it all for them and deal with the building department and deal with the pain in the ass. And they'll get a lot of efficiencies because guess what? The building department won't be dealing with random Joe Schmo every day. If permits.com is successful, they'll just be dealing with permits.com. And, obviously I believe that, the private industry can provide services better than the government anytime. So I really like them. And I think, we've partnered with them to help our customers. And I think they could be big if they're able to make the building departments easy to use for people around the country.
Awesome. Galiano, what questions do you have for me as an entrepreneur, as an investor?
Any tips, any criticism? I haven't heard much criticism, so I'd like some of that.
There's 1,000 reasons why this might fail, right? But I believe when you have a strong entrepreneur running things, you can move mountains, and you just need one reason why it can work. And I think the one reason why it can work is you're just so maniacally focused on this that you'll break through all the little challenges that come. I invested in the company, right? So that speaks to how much confidence I have. I think there's a high risk I could lose my entire investment. That's exactly what I want. I want companies where I invest in a portfolio of crazy ideas all I need is one to make up for everything. I remember talking to one of my investors recently. We sold our company, we got 780 million for it from Blackstone. I asked one of my investors, how was the exit for it? He goes, well, this was the one. This was the one that made up for every mistake and will pay for every angel investment I ever want to make. Plus,
Yeah.
it's college, plus, I bought my house with it, and it was a great outcome. You can only get those types of outcomes. What puzzles me is this. You look at public stocks, you look at the likes of Tesla. I mean, look at Tesla. As of now, this time when we're talking, Tesla's breaking through $1,900. I remember looking at Tesla when it was $600, thinking it was way too overpriced,
Yeah.
right? Apple in today's stock market just reaching $2 trillion as a market cap. You've got you've got SpaceX. You've got these real companies. I'm sorry, but they aren't just tech companies in the traditional sense of software. They're companies solving hard problems involving some hardware.
Yeah.
And to me, this just seems like an obvious type of company that, well, what I think as well is a company like Boxabl will have a really good outcome long term in the public markets. This is something that I don't want to be stereotypical, but those Robinhood users would love. They'd be,
Yes.
right? They just bump the stock price high. And I don't think VCs are there yet. I don't think VCs have figured out how to help companies that are the type of Tesla, or Apple or SpaceX type of companies. You could say Peloton is one of those emerging companies that's going down that path too. How to solve that gap and fund those companies. And all of those companies have had a very hard time in the early days, very capital intensive. So if you ask me back to the concern of criticism, you're the type of company that's going to need a boatload of funding to actually get off the ground and scale.
Yeah.
You built a fair amount of moat or competitive, sort of barriers to entry, but you've got to go out and raise as much funding as you can. And I don't envy you. It's tough, right? You're looking to, it's difficult. The source of capital for this is hard to reach. And you're doing it bit by bit, getting it from the very customers who want to do it. Look, running the type of company you're running is very different to running a traditional company. I'll give you that. And you're going to have a great set of experiences and learnings you'll be able to share one day too.
Yeah. The capital thing seems to all be kind of coming together, and I think all this momentum is snowballing. And I think what we're going to do in regards to raising money within the next year or so after this current one, I think it's going to be pretty cool. And I do eventually want to try to push this onto being publicly traded because I think you're right. A lot of people, they get it. They understand this. The general public does. It's not confusing. It's very exciting. And I think this is the kind of thing where, those Robinhood guys could really get us really pumped up.
Well, this is the thing with what you're doing. This isn't the type of approach where you can go lean and mean, and you are to a degree that you can, but it's not something you can just crank out code with 2 engineers and make a few calls. You literally just going to keep putting more and more money in, and it's going to either take off like a rocket ship or it's going to crash like a rocket ship too. Both will be spectacular outcomes to watch. You're the one in the driving seat, of course. So, you're pointing the rocket towards the stars. There'll be a lot of black along the way.
Yeah.
You get that landing. But good on you. You're solving a key problem. That's what I like. This is a problem that I bought real estate myself, and it's crazy like what the replacement costs are for properties. Sometimes we're buying properties far below replacement cost. And that's just based on a notion of all the challenges and reasons why it's so hard to get buildings built, right? The permits and the regulations and permissions, inspections, and the delivery of materials. So I like that you build a solution here that can really solve all of that.
Yeah. Another important point too is what we're doing could potentially help millions and millions of people to, have a better quality of living. Our goal is to transition building construction fully into the factory. And if we do that the right way, we're going to smash costs down so far and quality up so high. And it's going to be something where, we could help people in this country. We could help people in third world developing nations. I mean, definitely do a lot of good with this if we execute properly.
Fabulous. Well, Good luck, and I'm excited to see how this unfolds. Thank you so much.
Want to take your business to the next level? You're in the right place. Zain Jaffer interviews legendary entrepreneurs, investors, and leading executives. Gain deeper clarity, insight, and motivation, and achieve more in your life, both professionally and beyond. Zain sold his Silicon Valley startup Vungle to Blackstone for a whopping $780 million in 2019. Now, his purpose is bringing you the very best business advice, and he leaves no stone unturned. Now, let's jump into today's podcast.